Thanks to Ubisoft, I was able to participate in an exclusive 4-hour preview of their upcoming game, Star Wars Outlaws. Star Wars Outlaws is a third-person, action-adventure game developed by Massive Entertainment, the studio behind Tom Clancy's The Division 1 and 2. Outlaws is set in a familiar time in the Star Wars universe, between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. While this period is best known for the ongoing struggle between the Rebellion and the Galactic Empire, the story follows Kay Vess and her pet/partner Nyx through their journey within the criminal underworld.
You're new to this world. Come back when you're not.
Through my 4 hours with the game, I was able to experience several different gameplay sections, including stealth, both melee and blaster combat, dogfighting in space, speeding across worlds, and so much more. Let's be clear, I'm not a video game reviewer by trade,
I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe.
and a massive Star Wars fan. Going into the demo, I was thrilled at the idea of Outlaws. As Ubisoft has mentioned in their marketing, this is the first open-world Star Wars game, which is something most, if not all, Star Wars fans have wanted. After my 4 hours, I can say that while this might not be the perfect game, it's a must-buy for fans of this universe. Let's start with what was most important to me. The world.
Oh, found what you're looking for, buddy?
I was able to visit two main locations, the frigid world of Kijimi and the plains covered Tashara Moon. Both planets felt unique, each with their own distinct vibe. Kijimi felt very similar to its movie appearance in Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Cold and seedy. I only spent an hour on Kijimi, but that was enough to get a good feel for the world. There were people scattered among the streets, a busy cantina, and several shops. Despite all that, it was clear that this planet was not somewhere anyone truly wanted to be. Crime was prevalent, with the Ashiga clan controlling everything. Ashiga quests were the main focus during my hour there. This group of Melido, a species of insectoids, felt very closed off from the rest of the residents, forcing Kay to earn their trust. I was able to sneak through one of their strongholds and notice just how much wealth this group had accumulated. The questline I was given ended with earning their matriarch's trust, something that will be key throughout the rest of the game. More on that later. Tashara Moon, a world created specifically for this game, felt vastly different from Kijimi. Covered in plains and rocky outcrops, the moon feels wide open until you get inside the city of Mirogana. Here, the world truly felt alive, with citizens crammed together alongside three criminal organizations: Crimson Dawn, the Hutt Cartel, and the Pike Syndicate. Star Wars fans will be at least vaguely familiar with these groups from their appearances in movies, television shows, and other media. The city offered several different activities, pathways, and secrets that will keep the more inquisitive players busy for hours. Outside of the city, there were even more things to find and do, including speeder races, loot caches, and random interactions, such as deciding whether or not to help a couple of people under Imperial custody.
Private property. I gave them permission for them to fish here.
You really expect me to believe that?
Worth a shot.
No hiding now.
In fact, there was a point where I followed so many side quests that my playtester kindly guided me back to Mirogana so that I could see the full main story offerings of the demo before my allotted time ran out. Needless to say, the worlds felt unique, lived in, and offered a lot for players to do. If you're going to tout an open world Star Wars game, all three of these boxes needed to be checked. The gameplay in Star Wars Outlaws isn't anything groundbreaking or new, at least during the time I was granted. In the main missions of the demo, Kay is given a task, typically a fetch quest, and multiple options on how to achieve the desired outcome. Most of the time, stealth was the easiest solution, with certain sections outright requiring remaining unseen. One quest required retrieving a piece for an ion blaster from Crimson Dawn, someone I had just established a budding relationship with. Despite having that and being allowed in their base of operations, there were still sections that were restricted to non-syndicate members like Kay. Due to this, stealth became a necessity. As soon as any member of Crimson Dawn spotted Kay, she was quickly pulled out of the restricted area, requiring me to start over again. I am not a great stealth player, and this took much more time than it should have, as I attempted to rush through after getting caught repeatedly. A smart player will be able to take their time, using Nyx as a distraction to achieve their goals, and slip through unseen. Upgrades obtained through completing certain actions also seem as though they will help to make stealth sections easier.
Fine, you got me.
There's also a hacking aspect. Doors and sealed crates will stop you in your path. The hacking game is simple on paper, needing the player to just match their input to the timing of various beeps. However, with the risk of K being discovered while hacking, the pressure can mount quickly. While the hacking in my playtime was simplified, I can only imagine that there will be more complex locks as the game progresses. For players like myself who tend to rush, the game will punish you. As I quickly found out, if you continue to rush through and get caught during these stealth sections, your task quickly becomes more difficult, as the relationship with Crimson Dawn faded with each capture. This is where Outlaws gets tricky in the very best way. As alluded to earlier, players will need to balance their relationships with all four syndicates, at times picking one over another. Both gameplay and dialogue options will have an impact and will change the difficulty of certain missions, given your reputation with the syndicates. As I failed the stealth mission over and over, my reputation with Crimson Dawn dropped down to poor. This made the task that much more difficult, as now I had to not only sneak through the secure area, but also into the base I was previously allowed to walk into freely. If you're like me,
I prefer a straight fight to all this sneaking around.
look, the gunplay isn't anything groundbreaking. It's the same gunplay you're going to get in most third-person games. Think like Mass Effect or Uncharted. Using your pistol, a weapon off the rack, or one scavenged from a defeated enemy, you duck behind cover and take turns popping up and down until everyone in the room has been eliminated. They give you grenades, there's different blasters to use. I was able to use an A300 blaster rifle and a sniper, but the guns didn't feel like there was enough of a difference to really justify using anything except my pistol. I was able to take out all enemies with just that. Maybe I just didn't experience enough weapons during my playthrough, but as of right now, the gunplay is probably the weakest point of the game. When up close, or in stealth, K can engage in hand-to-hand combat, which is particularly effective in incapacitating unsuspecting guards. Nyx can even help out in these scenarios, providing even more utility.
Wow, nice.
One of the more fun parts of the gameplay was K's speeder. This is your main point of transportation on Jashara Moon, and it felt great to handle and can even get an upgraded boost to go faster. One of the side missions I was able to experience was a race across the plains, which I did lose, but I believe would eventually be winnable with the proper upgrades. Minigames such as the race kept me engaged at all times. They were arcade-like games to play, fall-day races to bet on, and my personal favorite, Sabacc. Sabacc was easy to grasp, fun to play, and something I will definitely find myself going back to over and over. The developers have even mentioned that Nyx can sneak off and help you cheat your way to victory during these games. Be careful though, if you get caught cheating, you will get banned from the table. There are data pads full of lore to collect, conversations to listen in on, and items scattered around the world to craft with or sell to merchants. With a wide mix of things to participate in on multiple worlds, players will have no shortage of quests and objectives to complete. Most importantly, you can pet all the friendly animals you encounter. K's purpose on each of these worlds, in interacting with these crime syndicates, is a simple one, albeit one we have seen before in the Star Wars universe. A deal goes wrong, leaving her with a death mark. To cover the cost, she has to pull off a massive heist. Sounds similar to everyone's favorite smuggler? Yes, it's an all too familiar story in the Star Wars universe. That being said, I'm sure that given the unique reputation system and the wide cast of characters, this story won't feel stale. As mentioned, K and Nyx are the main protagonists, and gave me a similar feeling to Cal Kestis and BD-1 in EA's Jedi series. Their relationship and dependency on each other were well portrayed, even with me just being plopped into the middle of their story.
Good boy.
While those two are ever present, there are several other supporting characters, including the mechanic Waka, a Mon Calamarian named Donka, crime leaders Gorak and Illyra, and many, many more. Most importantly, ND5, someone I expect to quickly become a fan favorite. A commando battle droid from the Clone Wars, ND was very straightforward and pragmatic in the little time I was able to spend with him aboard the Trailblazer. Speaking of the Trailblazer, it's no secret just how important ships are in Star Wars, especially for our scoundrels. They become characters within themselves, and the Trailblazer continues in that mold, providing yet another great ship. The light freighter will be used for space battles, traversal, and as a home base. Within the ship, Kay can receive contracts, edit her equipment, or even change her gear to provide necessary skill boosts. I was able to glimpse a few of the upgrades for both Kay's equipment and the Trailblazer. Players should be happy with the ways given to expand their arsenal. Of course, as is often the case in Star Wars, there's a high chance of cameos. We know that Jabba the Hutt will be a main player in the story, which means the potential of characters such as Boba Fett, Cad Bane, or any of the various bounty hunters employed during this time. I was also halfway expecting to see everyone's favorite droidsmith, Babu Frick on Kijimi, but alas, did not spot him during my time. Given the time frame of this game and its scope, it stands to reason that we'll see at least one or two very familiar faces before the credits roll. But I'm not so sure it'll be one of the big players active during this period.
Don't make me destroy you.
Star Wars is one of those rare franchises where you can look at a character, ship, or location and immediately know what franchise it's from. Outlaws continues this tradition, with the biomes feeling connected and purposeful in their design. On both planets there were mixtures of aliens and droids from the original trilogy, prequels, sequels, and TV shows, giving every fan something they can look forward to. The inclusion of these various types of characters, along with very detailed locations, make you feel like you have been thrust right into the universe. The streets of Miragana were filled with life and little details, including scattering rodents, litter, flashy billboards, and more. Every shop had tiny details, making you feel as though it saw traffic daily. Out on the plains, everything felt natural and well pieced together. On Kijimi, buildings felt older and more worn down, while the world off in the distance had an air of mystery to it. Of course, what's Star Wars without an amazing score and sound design? The music in both cutscenes and in-game felt both new and what we have come to expect. Wilbert Rodgett seemed to have captured the magic and will be a welcome addition to the music of John Williams, Kevin Kiner, Ludwig Göransson, and others. The sounds of Kay's blaster, speeder, and the Trailblazer, of course, felt very Star Wars, and nothing took me out of that world.
Get cover, Nick.
Was my playtime with Star Wars Outlaws a perfect time? Of course not. The combat isn't overly complex, the stealth sections seem a bit drawn out in spots, and with multiple large-scale worlds, there are bound to be a few bugs and issues. Does that mean I don't think it's worth paying for and playing?
We got time for a game, right?
Of course not. If you're looking for not just a Star Wars game, but an experience, then you absolutely should pick this up. It's cliche to say this, of course, but the 4 hours of gameplay I was allotted flew by, and I felt like I did not have nearly enough of a chance to do all the exploration that I wanted. Each of the characters I encountered were interesting, the world building is phenomenal, and the heist story surely will have twists and turns that remain under wraps. I'll be very interested to see the ultimate impact of influencing different syndicate reputations, and if their standing at the end of the game has any true bearing on the outcome of the story. Kay-Vess and Nyx look to be a welcome addition to the group of characters we all have come to know and love, and I expect Outlaws to give players the true open-world foray into the universe that they all have been longing for. A big thank you again to Ubisoft for allowing me to experience this preview. Star Wars Outlaws releases August 30th on Xbox, PS5, and PC. Players can play up to 3 days early with a Gold Edition or above, which also includes the Season Pass, featuring 2 DLCs that further add to the story. Are you going to be playing Outlaws in August? Let me know in the comments, like the video, and make sure to follow both here and on Twitch for all future Star Wars Outlaw gameplay and content.